Hello and welcome to the channel. Let's get into the story. Donald Trump has hit at South Africa again, just as we were enjoying the peace and quiet while he was battling tariffs and China giving him a hard time. He then now turns his head towards South Africa again. Guys, we are dealing with a bully here. So Donald Trump has told the world that he is not attending the G20 summit that is taking place in November. So he's basically discouraging all the other member states of the G20 from attending, claiming that there is a white persecution happening in South Africa, which is totally false. We'll take a look at the response by the EFF, who was swift in responding, and of course the international relations that is heading up the G20 also had a thing to say. Now, there is already a lot happening in South Africa's politics, with the GNU trying to reconfigure and its members meeting secretly with oppositions. And of course, Jacob Zuma recently celebrated his 83rd birthday. But what now adds on to the pressure on South African politics is Donald Trump refusing to attend the G20. We'll take a look at his message on Truth Social, and let's take a look at these stories. Please give this video a thumbs up in support of this channel, and let's continue.
Donald Trump says on a post on Truth Social that we are officially skipping the G20 summit being held in Cape Town, South Africa. He cites the farm attacks and land grabs that are happening there. In his post, he specifically says that white farmers are losing their farms and that they are being killed. South Africa has had a long history of racial tensions and racial issues, and those are going on today. So it does beg the question, why would you even have the G20 summit in South Africa when it's supposed to be sort of a summit where people get together and figure things out and cooperate together? I don't think South Africa is exactly the best place to do it. Like, maybe go to Sweden or something. Elon Musk has expressed a similar sentiment to Donald Trump, and Elon Musk actually grew up in South Africa for the most part during apartheid, which is where you basically separate people by race. That ended in 1994, but as you can tell, the racial problems are still going on to this day.
If these allegations were true about genocide and white farmers' lands being confiscated and white farmers being killed and their families and so forth, then why would he not want to come to see for himself whether these things are true? Because all the other world leaders are fine coming to South Africa. So what is the real agenda behind the Trump's administration's attitude towards South Africa? I'm really interested in knowing, for those of you who have deep insights into this topic, because I'm actually getting a little bit nervous and anxious about this aggressive behavior of America, particularly because it's based on lies and disinformation. They did a similar thing with Iraq, if you remember, where they told us there's weapons of mass destruction, of which we now know it was all lies and disinformation, which was used as the basis to invade Iraq and take control over the strategic sectors and oil reserves and so forth. So what does South Africa have that the American government is so interested in, that they're willing to spend so much time and resources putting their attention on South Africa?
Let's get further into this. Now, when it comes to South Africa's politics, already the ANC is the cause of all of our trouble. First of all, they had no business signing that bill that does nothing for South Africans and fronting it as though it's some sort of redress, right? Whereas it's just there to benefit the elite again. But we'll talk about that in detail in another video. In the other news on international levels now, we get this Donald Trump coming for South Africa again, the nemesis of the world, Donald Trump. He tweeted, or is it, I don't know what you call it, it was from his platform called Truth Social, which is not so popular in South Africa. So this was then forwarded to South Africa via Twitter. So in his tweet, he said things that vindicate South Africa already, because words, they were way out of context. And the fact that he has been swinging his sword and threatening nations makes anything that he says very hard to believe. But of course, the American audience will lap it up because of their bias towards MAGA. Let's take a look at this content of his tweet and also look at the statement that the EFF swiftly responded with, accusing him of avoiding to come to the G20 in November this year, just so that he doesn't see all the leaders of the countries that he has been persecuting recently, ever since he came into office. By the way, he has only been into office less than 3 months. Can you believe it? He hasn't reached his 100-day mark. We are exhausted, even as South Africa. Imagine the people of America. Imagine their neighbors, Mexico and Canada, who have had to face this man. We have been tormented by Donald Trump's office, and he still has a whole 4 years to go. Can America do something for us? Is there anything that the world can do? We saw America take out Gaddafi, who was in another country, to save us from the persecution and the torment of this US president, who is unhinged, out of control in terms of democratic processes and diplomacy. Let's take a look and let me know what your thoughts are on this. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Let's continue. Now, the EFF put out a statement in order to address what Donald Trump had said about their leader, Jullius Malema, who was quoted in the post inside the videos that were compiled, where he is singing Utubuli Bunu and also where he is making his debate in Parliament of South Africa on the land question. So definitely they had to respond. Of course, Jacob Zuma was also in there, and we have not heard anything from Jacob Zuma, nothing formal from the president of South Africa as yet. Maybe they are still playing their pretend nothing is happening, play dead, roll over, turn the other cheek. We're not sure what is their strategy against this world nemesis right now, Donald Trump. Let's read the statement, guys. It is quite lengthy, so bear with us. I don't want us to be left in all of this that the EFF unleashed on Donald Trump. So it begins as follows. The EFF statement on Donald Trump's declaration on non-attendance of G20 summit in South Africa and claims of mass unalivings and land confiscation, referring to a debate by CIC Julius Malema in Parliament. So guys, apologies. Sometimes we will use alternative words to keywords that the YouTube platform encourages us not to use, rather, in order to be sensitive to our viewers. So here is the letter on screen. You can read along with me or you can listen. So this letter was released on the 12th of April 2025. Donald Trump had sent out his Truth Social post on the 11th of April 2025. The first paragraph goes as follows. The Economic Freedom Fighters EFF has taken note of a social media post by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, wherein he indicates his reservations regarding attending the G20 summit in South Africa. In his usual delusional manner, Trump cites land confiscation and mass unalivings in South Africa as his reason, and attaches to his ridiculous claim a video of the commander-in-chief and the president of the EFF, Julius Malema, debating the land question in the Parliament of South Africa. So in that paragraph, we wish that they had at least put dates to when the CIC was making that debate in Parliament, so that there can be context to that. But we'll discuss the rest of the commentary at the end of this video. Let me just continue to the next paragraph, which is paragraph 2. It reads as follows: in a clear indication of a man who has lost all sense and touch with reality, Donald Trump has decided to return to his disinformation campaign against South Africa to distract the public from the mess he has created globally with his uneducated reciprocal tariff system. Sure, I can hear Malema saying something like this. So the third paragraph goes on and says, in a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump wrote that, how could we be expected to go to South Africa for the very important G20 meeting when land confiscation and mass unaliving is the primary topic of conversation? They are taking the land of white farmers and then unaliving them and their families. The media refuses to report on this. The United States has held back all contributions to South Africa. Is this where we want to be for the G20? I don't think so. That's the third paragraph. Going to the fourth. The EFF takes serious exception to Donald Trump's connection of his false claim of land confiscation and a mass unaliving against white South African families with the president of the EFF, especially since we know that Donald Trump governs through social media. As the EFF, we would like to tell the tariff-wielding barbarian that he would be lucky to still be president of the United States by the time the G20 summit occurs in South Africa, following his recklessness and economic illiteracy, which has plunged the U.S. economy into a recession and launched them into a trade war with China and Europe. Definitely something Malema would say as well. Don't you think so? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Let's continue to the next paragraph. He says, the G20 summit in South Africa should be the least of Donald Trump's concerns, and he should focus on the allegations against him of manipulating the U.S. stock market by imposing tariffs on numerous countries across the world, and then giving trading advice to his billionaire friends before pausing the tariffs for 90 days. Trump essentially used the U.S. economy as a means to practice insider trading and fraud and defraud the American people of billions in their life savings and pensions. He himself has committed an economic unaliving on the ordinary American people and the U.S. economy. That was the next paragraph. And then he goes on and says, as the EFF, we condemn Donald Trump for the havoc he has caused to the global economy and view his utterances against South Africa as part of a premeditated strategy to impose sanctions on our country and our political leadership. It is a strategy of imperialism to frame a nation it intends to invade and disrupt politically and economically as a nation that is violating human rights before making an intervention that disrupts that nation's prosperity for decades to come. We have seen the strategy in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Cuba, Venezuela, and many other nations. Today, because South Africa and the president of the EFF has correctly condemned the USA's role in funding the unaliving of Palestinian people by the apartheid Blue Star country, Trump has turned his attention to South Africa. It is no coincident that he uses the images of the president of the EFF to make his claims, because the president of the EFF is at the forefront of demanding the return of the land to the African majority, and he has pursued this using constitutional means. The EFF advises Donald Trump not to use South Africa as a reason to avoid facing his global peers at the G20 summit in South Africa, since he has embarrassed himself and the United States of America with his poor grasp of the tariff system. His non-attendance would be an opportunity for the leading nations of the world to consolidate an economic recovery plan that does not rely on the US dollar and is welcomed. But it is clear that he fears facing his counterparts following his humiliating tariff stunt. That is the end of that statement. Obviously, it is loaded. It's like he emptied it out all on Donald Trump. Now, the G20 is made up of about 20 countries. That's why it's called the Group of 20, rather. Now, there is an accusation that Donald Trump is avoiding coming to South Africa for the G20 because of the influence, obviously, by those apartheid apologists who are not happy that South Africa is black-led right now. But also, it could be that he is avoiding meeting all of these leaders that will possibly hold him accountable. We saw the United States of America pulling out from the World Health Organization. We are also seeing them trying to pull out of NATO. And recently, he is now snubbing all G20 meetings as America. Marco Rubio didn't attend. Their finance minister also didn't attend the finance track. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Please give this video a thumbs up and let's talk about it down below. And I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.